are are finishing up beans, and some even looking towards finishing up corn. I had a conversation with a local grain elevator owner just a couple of days ago. Said that yields were for most part were looking pretty good. But this is a critical time of year for Christian County. As Christian County, we've got a lot of manufacturing and we've got great businesses here, but agriculture is really one of our biggest things in Christian County. And when you're in farming, you've only got one opportunity to plant and you've got one opportunity to harvest per year. And this is the time to harvest, and you hope that everything you've done throughout the year results in having good yields and getting your product out of the field and getting it into storage or getting it to market. And what I like to remind people from an economic standpoint is, you can pick up a manufacturing facility and you can move it. You can move a manufacturing facility to another state, to another country. What you cannot do, Reed, is you cannot pick up farmland and move it somewhere. And our farmland has been here forever, and it's going to be here forever, and it provides so many jobs and so much economic opportunity. And we're just really blessed to have the farming and the agriculture that we do have here in Christian County. And this is a great time of year when it's on display at harvest.
And you talk a lot about the implications of the harvest, all of that. One of the things that has been very much a factor this year has been the dry weather. I've spoken to multiple farmers that have said that that's certainly impacted them, impacted their yields. What are you hearing from folks about that, and what it would mean then for the local economy?
Yeah, and what's interesting about that too, and we were just talking about soybeans. A lot of the soybeans are drier than normal, and the impact is going to be that is yet to be seen is, what does that mean to crushing, or most people call it crushing, or creating and you're making oil, which is what a lot of our soybeans end up doing. They end up being crushed for oil. And is this going to impact the amount of oil that you can get out per bean because of it being so dry? And this is some of the driest grain that we've ever seen. I know, again, that the local grain elevator owner that I talked to, he said that their system was set up to read ratings down to 8%, and they were getting some sub 8% beans in, and their system was kind of like, we've not seen this before, but it's going to translate to, what does that mean when it comes to taking those beans and turning them into production, and what does that mean for again, our businesses that rely on that, and that's what we're going to be figuring out as we get through this for us, a very dry season this year.
So we'll keep an eye on the harvest, see what folks are saying about that. I do also want to turn to Chili Fest that wrapped up just 4 days ago. You and I were both there. There was a lot of great foot traffic in terms of people consuming the chili and the vendors. That's the word I was looking for. Talk a bit about the economic impact of that, kind of what that means for Taylorville and Christian County in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, this is great for Taylorville, and it's great for Christian County, because what you have, and we've got festivals, throughout the year, but Chili Fest has been operating for 40 years. And what a lot of people may lose sight of is that there were 130 vendors at this year's Chili Fest. A lot of those vendors were our local businesses. And they're making, that's the time for them to make a lot of money selling their baked goods or selling the goods that they've been making throughout the year. And that alone has its own economic impact. But when you have the number of people who come into Taylorville for both or for one of those days, those people are coming in, and they're most of them are driving in their car, so they got to buy gasoline. So that helps out our local fuel retailers. Some of them if they're not eating the chili, maybe they're frequenting one of our other restaurants. So they bring those dollars in to Taylorville as well. But an event like the Chili Fest, which is a huge success and has been going on for 40 years, obviously, and has a great reputation for being a family-friendly event that you can come to 1 day or 2 days. It has a major impact to all of our businesses, to feed those attendees, to get them food, to get them fuel, and I mean, even come down to the electricity. Obviously, you're burning more electricity as you have more people here for something like that. So our electric providers like it. But it just the economic impact extends so far when you have any event like this. And Chili Fest was a great success, and it's a great help to Taylorville and to Christian County's economy.
You talk about the economic impact, for any of these individual businesses or vendors that are out there. So it sounds like, at least my impression, and I'd be curious to hear about yours from your position. It seems like a lot of people don't know of, a good handful of some of the vendors that were out there from outside of an event like this. So then maybe they hear about it for the first time and maybe even become a frequent customer after that. Does that seem like an accurate view from that?
Absolutely. I mean, especially if you've got something that is specialized or unique, this is a great place to get in front of people, have face-to-face conversations with people, and talk about what you've got. And maybe it's, you were there to get a bowl of chili, but you saw a booth caught your eye, and you struck up a conversation with the vendor, and now you've got a relationship of purchasing, whether it's baked goods or soap or candles or gifts. You name it. And there was such a wide number of vendors that were there. And if an event like this can create those relationships that can lead to more businesses in Taylorville and Christian County having a wider audience to sell their goods, that has a huge economic impact that can last for years.
There was a lot to like about how Chili Fest went this year. Was there anything that, from an economic standpoint, from a business standpoint, that you'd like to see change going into the next one in a year's time?
Well, I think the one we've talked, I think we've talked about this a little bit. We're a little nervous about, and these are things that we need, is the improvements to the square next year that we know are coming, and then we're getting new streets and new streetscapes and sidewalks. And that's something we're going to have to navigate with the 2026 Chili Fest. And hopefully we can come up with a plan that still allows us to get all these improvements that we're going to make to the square in Taylorville and around the Christian County Courthouse, but still have that stage, if you will, for putting on this event like Chili Fest. And, but I mean, just imagine if you enjoyed Chili Fest this year, just imagine that Chili Fest with brand new streets, brand new streetscaping. And by the way, this is also a great time to recognize all of those local businesses who have been improving their buildings in and around the square. Just what a great, not only all these vendors that are there, but all these businesses that are on the square every single day got to see a whole increase of foot traffic and spotlight the improvements that we've been making in Christian County, particularly around our courthouse and the Christian County Square.
No, it is lovely to see. There is a bit of uncertainty about how it's going to look next year, again, in terms of that work and in terms of the timeline of it. But after that, I fully agree that that'll be exciting stuff when Chili Fest comes back around. I've been talking to Matt Hart, the Christian County Economic Development Corporation's Executive Director, and we've been talking about the Harvest and Chili Fest. We're going to zoom back out a little bit on the other side of this break and talk about maybe some of the other projects going around Christian County that Matt Hart has his eye on. And again, that'll happen after this break right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
This month, Jansen's Heating and Air is in the pink.
Yes, we are.
I gotta say, that's a mighty fine pink shirt you're sporting, Troy.
I make this look good.
Jansen's has been in the comfort business for 35 years.
And this month, you can help us provide extra comfort for some very special people.
A portion of October sales will benefit HSHS St. Anthony's Women's Wellness Center, providing support to local cancer patients and their families.
Jansen's will donate $10 for every service call,
$15 for every time we improve the air quality of someone's home,
and $50 for every new system we install.
And as always, we do it proudly in our special pink shirts.
It's our favorite color.
I guess you could say we're tickled pink.
Yeah.
Makes you think.
Sure.
Who knows, this money could provide the missing link.
Okay.
Wink, wink.
That's enough.
562-5201 or visit jansensheating.com.
I wish I could give you a pink slip.
I'm Will Perkins, President and CEO of the Taylorville Community Credit Union. TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight, allowing a different nonprofit organization to be highlighted on WTIM, WMKR, and WRAN each month.
Hi, I'm Kate Mansfield, Residential Services Director of Taylorville Terrace, 921 East Market in Taylorville. In 1988, Taylorville Terrace began its mission to provide quality care to adults with developmental disabilities in this community. Years later, we are still providing excellent care for our residents. We support our residents as proud, contributing members of the community by participating in several local events and assisting as patrons of local businesses. We can be contacted at 217-287-7787 for more information or to volunteer.
TCCU is proud to be the exclusive sponsor of the Miller Media Group Community Spotlight. Come join us. You'll wonder why you waited. Member NCUA.
Thank you for listening to EIU Football on these Panther Radio Network stations, WMKR, Genuine Country, 94.3 Pana, Taylorville, WTIM, the Big 870, 96.1, 107.5, 107.9 FM, Taylorville, and WHOW, the Big 1520, 92.3 and 106.5 FM, Clinton. Our next broadcast will be Saturday, September 6th, as the Panthers travel to Indiana State. Kickoff at 12 with the pregame at 11:30, right here on the EIU Panther Radio Network.
Perry Stampa here, owner of Central Illinois Truck Service, just off of I-70 in Greenville. Let us repair your diesel engines with state-of-the-art equipment, a brand new facility, and certified technicians. Find out more by clicking on our icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Make this school year their strongest yet. Book your child's back to school or sports physical today at SIU Center for Family Medicine in Taylorville. Keep them healthy, focused, and ready for success. Find out more by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM.
Welcome back to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station. The show is brought to you by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first, and Landmark of Taylorville. I'm Reed Kamai in for Grayson Bauman this morning, and I continue my conversation with Matt Hart. He is the Christian County Economic Development Corporation's Executive Director. In the first segment, we talked about the fall harvest and Chili Fest. I want to turn now to something that has some pretty wide implications across Christian County. It's the multi-year program run by the Illinois Department of Transportation. They're putting $50.6 billion into this, and they've got some projects that are coming up in the next year, some others a little bit further down the line. Matt, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so last week, Governor Pritzker and the team at IDOT unveiled the Illinois Department of Transportation's $50.6 billion multi-year program. That's the largest program IDOT has ever done, and that's a result of a motor fuel tax increase from 2019, which has allowed IDOT to invest in a lot of roads. So the great news about that is we're seeing investment in Christian County, and that's what we wanted to share with folks and let them know what's in that multi-year program, because there's two projects that are pretty that will be coming up here soon. In fact, they're both in bid letting, and then there's two more projects coming up in the next few years. So let's start with Route 29 in Pana. That is in a current bid letting through November, and that includes the Route 29 on the north side of Pana. So if you're coming from Taylorville into Pana, that is going to get a much needed improvement. That road, as anybody there knows, is pretty rough right now. But that is, again, that's in a bid letting right now, and construction will begin in the next few months to improve Route 29 on the north side of Pana. The other local project that's included in fiscal year 2026 is Mount Auburn Road. Mount Auburn Road, almost essentially from Mount Auburn all the way to Taylorville, is going to get a new overlay, along with a couple of bridge improvements and some drainage improvements as well. But that is also in the FY 2026, so this year's budget for the Illinois Department of Transportation. So those are two projects we know we're going to see between now and next summer are going to get done here in Christian County. And then there's two more projects that we won't see this year, but are in the fiscal year 2027 to FY 2031. But it includes Route 29, again, pretty much essentially through the entire town of Taylorville, from the north side, from Route 104 all the way out to McAdam Drive on the other side of town. Again, that will not be in this year, or won't be in 2026, but it will be in 27 or 28. We will see that, but it is in the multi-year program. And then in addition to that as well is Lincoln Trail. Lincoln Trail will get a facelift as well. Again, not in the next few months, but it is in the 6-year, the multi-year program. In fiscal year 27 or 28 or 29, we will see improvements to Lincoln Trail as well. But those improvements will be key. Transportation is key to our economy. Transportation is key to Christian County, and we're going to see some much needed investment and much needed improvements in our highways right here. And those are just the state projects. We've got local projects as well, but that's what we know we're going to see from the state of Illinois in the next few years in Christian County.
So a lot going on the roads in those coming years. You mentioned Route 29 in Pana. I know we've seen some construction there already. So is this, and well, you and I both know what has been going on previously, but is this going to be like closer to Pana than that little stretch that was sort of temporarily reduced to one lane, or what's that like if you're aware?
No, this is like as you come into Pana from Taylorville on the north side of Pana, Route 29 until it connects to US 51, which is a much needed improvement. That's in the current bid letting, so that is going to be done. Most likely not done this year because we're running into the winter season, but I would imagine hopefully the first warm up we get in the spring, we will see that. But that contract process is going on right now, and that will be a major improvement to Route 29 as it runs through the north side of Pana from the industrial park all the way basically into town where it meets up with 51 and 16 in those areas.
Oh, so further into town. Okay, I thought it was still along the more rural road. So a lot to look forward to. Well, at least after the construction. Although it will certainly, I'm sure, have its impact on commute times during the construction. But that's part of how it goes. I do want to turn. We've got about 2.5 minutes left. You've got the CCEDC's annual meeting coming up in a week's time. Why don't you give a little preview about that?
Yeah, we're really excited about the Christian County Economic Development Corporation's annual meeting, which will be 1 week from today. It's going to be at the Pillars Event Center in Taylorville. And this is our annual meeting where we get together and business leaders and local government leaders all come together. And our attendance is way up over last year, which we're really excited about. But the program pretty much centers around just sharing some local stories of people who are investing in economic development in the county. And we've got folks from all over the county. We've got Midwest Meter, who folks may have seen their new 10,000 square foot warehouse going up in Edinburgh, just west of Sloan's. And they've actually started another building there as well. So you're going to be able to hear from the president of Midwest Meter. E.L. Pruitt, who is the new manufacturer to Taylorville. They bought the Park Street facility that B&R Marine used to have. They're going to talk about what they're doing in that facility and the great things they've got going there. Great Western Products from Pana, the popcorn factory. They're going to be here to talk about what they are doing in Pana and some of their future plans for Pana. And then also we've got Brandy Bruley, the superintendent of schools for the Taylorville School District. While they're not a business or a school, they've got some major construction projects that they just finished up and some major construction projects on the way. So Brandy's going to tell us about what Taylorville schools have got planned, so people can also know what to expect when it comes to additional construction and, again, expanded economic development right here in Christian County.
And not as a discredit to the other businesses, but I'm sure Midwest Meter is going to be one of the more anticipated ones, considering all the work they're doing in Edinburgh and the impact that it's had there. And I'm sure something like that is music to your ears.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, every time we see a construction project, we're just very excited, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that all across the county, which is what we want to see. We don't want to see in just one area. We're seeing it in Taylorville. We're seeing it in Pana. We're seeing it in Assumption. Seeing it in Edinburgh. And we know there's more growth even down in Morrisonville, and we're going to take the enterprise zone down there next year as well. But that's a positive change. But it comes by everybody working together, both business leaders and local government leaders, and that's why we have the Christian County Economic Development Corporation. And
you're going to see them come together next week, October 16th. Matt Hart, the Executive Director of the CCEDC. Matt, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure.
And we'll be back with more of the WTIM Morning Show coming up on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Blessed are the peacemakers. President Trump quoting scripture as he announces that Israeli and Hamas representatives have